So how was your experience of mentoring the teams here in Startup Weekend? And share with me, what do you enjoy the most?
Yeah, it was a very interesting experience because I used to attend hackathons myself just many years back, and this really reminds me of our early days as well. So it's very fun. What I enjoyed the most was really seeing teams come together. And there were people who were just in as young as in their junior colleges. I think there was a team in JC, and just coming together to come up with ideas so quickly over the weekend and asking really good questions in the process as well.
Okay, cool. Okay,
Yeah.
next question. Okay, what do you think that the team should spend the most time and energy doing to make their pitches stand out?
They should spend less time on their pitches and spend more time talking to users and customers to understand the problem.
Okay.
Yeah. And if they can get some traction in the process, even better.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay, could you share 3 tips for aspiring startup founders and how they should get started, test ideas, and build a business?
3 tips. Fall in love with the problem and the customer, not the idea or the solution. Second one is go out there and talk to your users and your customers. And third thing is focus on getting traction, because once you have traction and you have growth, that solves a lot of things. And if you can't grow as a startup, then you are not really solving a good enough problem. So focus on getting traction, real traction. Yeah.
Okay, maybe you could also share some of the things that Glints went through as well, like how you mentioned earlier to teams that like you only know that that is not your target audience. You can maybe share the story about it also.
Sure. I think for us in our early days, we started out as a graduate jobs and internship portal, and we initially thought that our customers were the job seekers and the students out there looking for internships. One of our mentors got us to go out there and talk to the students and see if they're really willing to pay us to look for jobs and internships. And after talking to 20 users, we realized very painfully that our initial hypothesis was all false, and they were not willing to pay us. They were willing to be users, but they're not willing to pay us. So it was through that process we realized our real customers were not just the students and the job seekers, but actually the employers looking for them. And that formed the foundation, and that was a pivot for us that started us on the right track to focus on the customers. And we wouldn't have gotten that conclusion so quickly if we didn't talk to users. So talk to users. Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, next question. So you have been actually raising a lot of capital from well-known investors and VC firms, right? So what are the fundraising tips you would like to give to the early stage startups?
Fundraising tips, I think 2 things. One is to focus on getting traction and not fundraising. Once you have growth and traction, investors will come to you instead of the other way around. Or even if they don't, it's much easier for you to get them on board. That's the first thing, growth and traction. Second thing is not just to ask for money in the process, but also ask for advice. Because when you just ask for money, then at the end of the day, you will just get advice. Sometimes when you ask for advice, you end up getting money. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Develop a real relationship with them. Yeah.
Okay, that's really cool. Okay, so what are the interesting growth hacking techniques that you employed in your early days during adoption of Glints?
Yeah, I think a big thing that I learned about growth hacking is to focus on getting your first 100 users that love you instead of like a huge market. A lot of founders will talk about $1 billion market, having 1 billion users. And that's great as an ambition, but really focus on getting the first 100 users or even the first 10 users that love you. And to do that, you have to find your early adopters and the people that have a very strong use case for your product. For us, when we first started, we didn't have a broad horizontal platform. Nowadays, we have a lot of solutions. We have graduate jobs and internships. We have professional jobs. We even have training. But when we first started, we just had one use case, which was to find internships at startups. And it was a very niche use case that no one else was serving. And because we started there, that was our wedge into the market, and we grew organically from our first 100 users. So focus on your first initial use case and then grow from there.
Okay, cool. Okay, I really love your interview, to really be honest. You're my first interviewee that I'm really asking. Yeah, but
cool. I'm sure the rest will be great too.
I love the stories that you're sharing. I think it's really good that you mentioned about all the points about really loving your users and the problem, because if you don't even know your problem statement, you can't solve them. Yeah, I think there are a lot
Yeah,
of startups that have very, very good ideas, but they are not solving the main part of the problem. Yeah.
yeah. They tend to fall in love with the ideas instead
Yeah,
of the
correct. Like
problem.
how these ideas could be or whatsoever, but they didn't
Yeah,
realize that they actually stray away from the main problem that they're solving. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, cool. I think that's about it.
Cool, you guys. It's great that you guys are spending time on this. You guys are making a huge impact on the startup industry. Keep it up.